Welcome to Tech Wave 65, innovation for new tech. My MacBook Pro has a secret weapon. It's a performance mode that Apple claims can give you a massive power boost for intense jobs like 8K video editing. It's called high power mode, and honestly, most people don't even know it exists. For years, I've been on a quest for faster exports and smoother timelines. Every dropped frame during an 8K playback, every agonizing minute spent staring at a render bar, it's a painful reminder that our time is valuable. So, when I stumbled upon a setting hidden in plain sight that promises to fix all that, I was intrigued but, let's be real, also super skeptical. Apple says this mode lets the system deliver higher performance for really intensive workloads. But is this a real game changer that will totally transform your workflow, or just a noisy gimmick not worth the hype? There's only one way to find out. We're going to put it to the test. We're going to throw everything we can at this machine with real-world, professional-grade tasks. I'm talking multi-track 8K ProRes video, complex color grades in DaVinci Resolve, and heavy-duty 3D rendering in Blender. We'll compare high power mode head-to-head with the standard automatic mode, measuring everything: export times, playback smoothness, fan noise, and how much power it's guzzling. By the end of this, you'll know if this secret mode is the key to unlocking your MacBook Pro's full power, or if it's just an overhyped feature you can safely ignore. Let's get into it. Section 1. The secret unveiled. What is high power mode? So, what exactly is this mysterious high power mode? First off, this isn't some shady, third-party hack or a dangerous overclocking tool. It's an official feature, baked right into macOS by Apple. The idea is simple. By default, your MacBook Pro is in automatic mode, always trying to find the perfect balance between performance, heat, and power consumption. High power mode basically tells your Mac to forget all that and prioritize raw performance. It does this by letting the fans spin up to higher speeds. This extra cooling gives the ridiculously powerful Apple Silicon chip, whether it's an M series Max or the new Pro, more headroom to sustain its peak performance for way longer without overheating and slowing down. The secret part isn't that it's buried in some cryptic command line. It's just an option most people never stumble upon or even realize is there. It's also pretty exclusive. Originally, it was only on the 16-inch MacBook Pros with M1 Max and M2 Max chips. Then, Apple expanded it to the 14-inch model with the M3 Max chip. And in a pretty cool move, it's now available on the latest 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pros and even the Mac Mini with the M4 Pro chip. The first time a Pro chip has gotten this feature. It's not available on the base M series chips or any MacBook Air, because those machines just aren't built for that kind of thermal output. So, where do you find it? It's surprisingly easy. On macOS Ventura or later, just pop into System Settings, click on Battery, and you'll see a drop-down menu for Energy Mode. You can set it for when you're on battery or plugged in. For older systems on macOS Monterey, you'll find it in a similar spot in System Preferences. And with the latest versions of macOS Sequoia, you can even toggle it right from the control center for quick access. Once it's on, a quick click on the battery icon in your menu bar will confirm that high power mode is active. It takes less than 30 seconds to turn on, but the real question is, what happens when you do? Section 2. The test setup. Keeping it real to give you a straight answer. We need to be transparent about how we're testing this. No synthetic benchmarks that just spit out a score. We're simulating the demanding, real-world workflows that creative pros like us face every day. For this test, I'm using a 16-inch MacBook Pro with the M4 Max chip, a machine that's fully equipped to handle high-power mode. Our testing is broken down into 3 main scenarios. First, an 8K video editing torture test in DaVinci Resolve. We'll use a 5-minute timeline stacked with 8K ProRes 4444 footage, a codec Apple specifically says benefits from this mode. This isn't a simple playback. The timeline has multiple video layers, intense color grading with several nodes, noise reduction, and some seriously GPU-heavy effects. We'll measure 2 things: the time it takes to export the final project to a 4K file and how smooth real-time playback is, watching for any dropped frames or stuttering. Second, a 3D rendering test in Blender. We'll render a complex scene with high-res textures, fancy lighting, and ray tracing. This is a pure, sustained CPU and GPU workout that will run for several minutes, making it the perfect way to see if high-power mode can prevent thermal throttling and hold higher clock speeds over time compared to automatic mode. We'll time the entire render from start to finish. Third, the trade-off test. Because performance never comes for free, right? We need to measure the downsides. Using a decibel meter in a quiet room, we'll record the peak fan noise for both automatic and high-power mode. We'll also use power monitoring software to track the wattage being pulled from the wall, giving us a clear picture of the energy cost. Every single test will be run 3 times in each mode, automatic and high power, with a cool-down period in between to keep things consistent. We'll average the results to smooth out any weird anomalies. This rigorous process will give us the hard data we need to finally decide if high-power mode is the real deal. Section 3. The showdown. Testing in action. Alright, the plan is set. Let's get to it. First up, our 8K DaVinci Resolve project. In automatic mode, the MacBook Pro is a beast. Scrubbing is mostly smooth, but when I hit a section with heavy color grading and noise reduction, I can feel a tiny bit of hesitation. The fans are audible, but they're not distracting. Now for the export. We're rendering that 5-minute 8K timeline to 4K. The fans spin up a bit more, and the export finishes in an average of 4 minutes and 15 seconds. Not bad at all. Now, let's flip the switch to high power mode. Finding it is as simple as I said. A quick trip to System Settings, click the drop-down, and we're good to go. The first thing I notice, even before starting, is the fan noise. There's a low, constant hum. The system is getting ahead of the heat. I opened the same 8K project, and this time, scrubbing through those intense parts of the timeline feels noticeably smoother. Those little stutters from before? Gone. Playback is perfect. It's a subtle but awesome improvement for anyone who lives on a timeline. Okay, let's run that same export. I hit render, and within seconds, the difference is impossible to miss. The fans ramp up, and I mean they ramp up. It's not a jet engine, but it is way louder than automatic mode. This is the trade-off, live in action. But what about the result? The export is done in an average of 3 minutes and 40 seconds. That's a 35-second reduction, a solid 14% speed increase. For one export, that might not sound revolutionary. But if you're an editor sending out multiple revisions a day, that time adds up fast. Next up, Blender and our complex 3D scene. This is a pure, sustained stress test. In automatic mode, the render starts, and the fans slowly ramp up as the internals get toasty. The total render time clocks in at 9 minutes and 50 seconds. Throughout the render, I can see the power draw fluctuate a bit, which usually suggests the system is making tiny adjustments to manage its temperature. Time for high power mode. I start the render, and the fans immediately kick into high gear and just stay there. They're not waiting for the heat, they're preventing it from the get-go. The noise is consistent and loud, just like with the video export. The render completes in 8 minutes and 30 seconds. That's a 1 minute and 20 second improvement, a performance jump of nearly 15%. This is where you really see the benefit of that sustained cooling. By stopping the chip from having to pull back, even a little, high power mode lets it run at its absolute peak for the whole task. Section 4. The results, worth the noise. So let's break down the numbers. Our 8K video export got a 14% speed boost. Our 3D render saw a performance gain of almost 15%. On paper, those are real, tangible improvements. For pros whose income is tied to how fast they can turn around projects, shaving 15% off every render is a huge win over the course of a year. That smoother playback in Resolve is also a major quality of life upgrade that's harder to measure but just as important for an editor's sanity. But great performance is only half the picture. We have to talk about the catch. And the catch is the noise. In a quiet room, my baseline noise level was about 30 decibels. During heavy tasks in automatic mode, the fan noise peaked around 42 decibels. You can hear it, but you can also ignore it. In high power mode, that number shot up to 55 decibels. That is not subtle. It's the sound of a machine working its heart out. If you work in a shared office, a quiet studio, or record audio in the same room, this level of noise is a deal breaker. Then there's power consumption and battery life. When plugged in, high power mode consistently drew more power to fuel both the chip's performance and those faster fans. And while you can use high power mode on battery, it will drain it much, much faster. The default automatic mode is smart, designed to balance power and efficiency. High power mode is all about raw power, and it uses more energy to get there. This isn't something you'd want to leave on all day for checking emails. That's what low power mode is for, which is designed to do the opposite and extend your battery life. So, back to the big question. Is it an essential tool or an overhyped gimmick? The truth is, it's neither. It's not a gimmick, because the performance gains are absolutely real, measurable, and consistent for long, heavy jobs. But it's not a game changer for every single person, because it's a specialist tool with very specific trade-offs. For short tasks, a lot of reviews have found that the difference can be tiny, as the system doesn't have time to heat up enough to need that extra cooling. The magic of high power mode isn't making your Mac faster for a few seconds. It's about keeping it fast for minutes or even hours on end. So, if you found this breakdown helpful and you're a creative pro trying to squeeze every last drop of performance out of your gear, think about subscribing. I'm always putting features like this to the test to figure out what's actually worth your time. The final verdict after all the tests. Here's the final verdict. High power mode is not a secret, go faster, button for everyone. If your work is mostly browsing, office apps, photo editing, or even short video exports, you will likely see almost zero benefit and just get more fan noise for your trouble. For you, the standard automatic mode is already perfectly tuned. However, If you're a professional who consistently pushes your machine to its absolute limits with long, demanding tasks, high power mode is an incredibly valuable tool. I'm talking about 3D artists waiting on huge renders, and video editors working with high-res formats like 8K ProRes or DNxHR, doing complex color grading, and exporting long projects. For these users, that 10–15% performance gain isn't a small thing. It translates directly into time saved in a smoother, more fluid creative workflow. Think of it less as a performance mode, and more as a sustained workload mode. Apple built these machines with incredible thermal systems, and high power mode is the key that unlocks that last bit of potential when you absolutely need it. It's a feature designed for the top 5% of power users, and for them, it's a genuine productivity booster. It's not a gimmick, it's a pro feature for pro workflows. Smash the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more tech and real talk from TechWave65. Now I've got a question for you. Have you ever used high power mode on your MacBook Pro? What's your experience been like? Let me know your real-world results in the comments below. Smash the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more tech and real talk from TechWave65.